TIFU, I won a government surplus auction, by user Ermin Flint 1. I get a break here because it happened when I was 13 years old. I was a young wannabe photographer, and I had been researching the cost of setting up my own darkroom. It's a mostly lost art, you need an enlarger. They ran from very simple optical lamps for under $100 to super sophisticated models that ran over a $1,000, film tanks, chemicals, paper, and dozens of other pieces of equipment. Plus, you needed a light-proof room with decent ventilation. My parents were mostly supportive. If not, mostly disinterested. I was allowed to come and go as I please, and they were willing to let me use an unused bathroom at our house to set up my erstwhile dark room. I just never had enough money to do it, so I used to have to use a rented dark room at a local studio that charged by the hour. My 15-year-old brother was a very early computer nerd and phone freak. Early hackers used a Captain Crunch whistle to get free calls, but that's a whole different story. He had different projects going on all the time, some pretty sketchy. He used to buy stuff from the US government. They mailed books for auctions and surplus disposal. He had set up a bidding account and had bought crazy used electronics and decommissioned communications devices. It was all through sealed bid offers and conducted solely through snail mail. You'd see a listing you wanted, you filled out a bidding form and then sent it through the mail. If you were the high bid, you'd receive a notice, sometimes 4 to 6 weeks later, with instructions on payment and drayage. He showed me a brief listing that caught his eye. It's been 50 years, but it went something like: portable field darkroom, enlarger, trays, storage, self-contained with supplies and tools. The listing had dozens of abbreviations and other details that I didn't understand, and it was located 90 miles away in the San Diego area. Shipping was to be coordinated by winning bidder. I was very excited. My brother had gotten electronics and tools for pennies on the dollar. He agreed to send a bid for me. After much deliberation on how much to bid, we came upon the magnificent sum of $80. There was little to no chance that I would win, but, who knows? We sent off the bid. When the end date came and went, I breathlessly checked the mail daily to see if won. Finally, I received a very official-looking envelope with basically a notification and an invoice. I won. We paid through a postal money order and received instructions on where to collect my triumphant spoils. This is where things go sideways. We just had no way of getting the stuff picked up. It was miles away. I didn't even have a bicycle at the time, thanks Bobby Dickstein. My brother worked out a deal with a super shady guy named Lance who had a mini truck, for a tank of gas and some swiped booze. My parents were super light drinkers. By the time I moved out, the bottles behind their bar were 90% water. We were mobile. We drove down to the warehouse with my paperwork in hand. It turns out we were going to a Marine base. There we were, my brother, a slightly chubby freckled redhead, me a scrawny prepubescent doofus, and Lance, a long-haired stoner straight out of Dazed and Confused, 15 years ahead of time but period correct. He was wearing a Mr. Zog's Sex Wax t-shirt. As we got closer to the gate, Lance starts freaking out. He's got pot on him and no ID. After we explained who we were and why we were there, the gate guard had us drive to a holding area. Do not exit the vehicle. Do not drive past the second fence. After about 25 minutes, a very stern-looking guy came out and walked around the truck. Gentlemen, I understand you're here to retrieve a parcel. Yes, sir. Do not address me as sir. I work for a living. I may have made this up. I'm Gunnery Sergeant Jones. Is this the vehicle in which you intend to remove your property? Yes, Gunnery Sergeant. Well, who is Ermin Flint? Well, me, sir. I mean Gunnery Sergeant. He said to follow him. He took us to a dusty field and storage yard where we passed building after building of neglected green junk. Everything was covered in tarps and tied with rope. He finally stopped and said, "Do you see the problem here?" Hey? What? This is your darkroom. We were in front of a dilapidated 20 trailer from no later than 1960. It was filthy and sitting on very low tires. He opened the door. Go ahead, watch out for mice and spiders. Inside was as shitty and rotted as the exterior. Boxes of old photographic supplies, unrecognizable canisters, and an ancient vintage enlarger that was probably state-of-the-art when Ike was in the White House. I was crestfallen, feeling dumb. Gunny chimed in, "I don't think Cheech's rig will tow this thing." Tow this thing? I wanted to get out of here and never look back. What happens if we don't pick it up? Kid, unless you're hiding a diesel rig somewhere, that thing is going nowhere. We left. The coup de grace. My brother and I left. As much as I wanted to split the blame with him, he was older, this was on me. I told him it was great deal and that I knew everything on the listing. My money was gone, thanks Gerald Ford, but the worst was yet to come. Sometime in the next few weeks we started getting official-looking abandoned property letters and notice of forfeiture, and then, it happened. I came home from school one afternoon and there in front of my house was the green beast. My horror was compounded by the fact that it was blocking driveway. There was no hiding from this. I went inside the house, I remember closing the drapes as if my parents wouldn't notice it when they came home, and started frantically calling the numbers I had for the warehouse. It was about 3 or 4 tries in, when I finally got someone on the line who could help. Yet, we had a load going to Oxnard and Gunny said to drop it off on the way. I said, "Are you crazy? I'm a 13-year-old kid." The guy on the other end said, "Well, according to the Department of Disposal you're the owner of a surplus trailer," and hung up. About this time, a small group of nosy-ass neighbors and kids, most of my friends, had gathered around to see the green behemoth. This was perfect timing as my dad was rounding the corner in his brown 1972 Fleetwood Brougham, which was a tank in its own right. My parents were not exactly engaged helicopter parents. My siblings and I pretty much did whatever we wanted with little of no supervision. They only got involved when our antics disrupted their lives. Like now. My dad was not Ward Cleaver. He basically said deal with it. Over the next few days I cleaned it out and was able to move it so it wasn't blocking the driveway, 8 kids pushing it. After a few days we decided to run an ad in the LA Recycler, e-kick. I sold it to a hippie who showed up in a vintage postal truck and gave me $50. I eventually built my darkroom, and my family still teases me about the beast. TLDR, 13-year-old me bid on a portable darkroom and won a decommissioned military trailer. TIFU by going away last minute on a girl, by user Fresh Purpose 1829. So, 5 days ago matched with this girl on an app, immediately connected and started talking and texting. She seemed really nice and understanding. Then I started to see some things. I saw her take screenshots which she said were accidental. Okay, understandable. Then later on, I had a talk with her to have our first meeting. She only agreed for me to go to her city, which is 50 kilometers away from where I live, and I don't know the city well. I still agreed to go. On the road, she texted, mentioned something about inviting me to her apartment, which seemed weird because we never met, so I text my bro and red flags start to go up. Finally arrive at the destination, she video called me, but she was not on video. I asked her to use camera so I feel safe. She said you will see me enough and guided me to some shady streets. I told her if we don't meet in a public space I'm leaving, and she said I can't there because people know me, and so I did, but I feel terrible and as if I ruined something that could have been good. At the moment I felt as if I was either being set up. TLDR, I felt like I was being set up, so I left before that girl came and now I kinda regret it. TIFU by not checking if the bathroom door actually locked, by user independent fee 3611. This happened a few weeks ago but my soul still leaves my body when I think about it. I was at a friend's house for a get-together. Not a huge party, just 7-8 people, snacks, dumb games, and good vibes. After a while my stomach got triggered by some spicy snack and nature called. I asked for the bathroom, went in, and thought I locked the door. Turns out, I didn't. I closed it, yes. But I didn't twist the little lock thingy properly because I was too distracted trying to be fast and polite. So there I am, peacefully doing my business, when suddenly the door swings open and my friend's cousin, who I'd literally just met an hour ago, walks in. We locked eyes. I was seated and pants down. Pure silence, no one moved. Just deep, spiritual shame. She screamed, I screamed sorry, still don't know why. I somehow kicked the door shut, and then just sat there contemplating existence. When I came out, everyone knew. Everyone. Someone even offered me a bottle of water and said, "You okay, bro?" like I had just come back from war. I stayed another 10 minutes for dignity's sake, then faked a phone call and left. Lesson learned, always double check the damn lock. Twist. Tug. Test, don't trust your memory. Your dignity isn't auto-saved, buddy. Save it manually. TLDR. Went to a friend's place, didn't properly lock the bathroom door, got walked in on mid-poop by his cousin. Social life is now permanently in recovery mode. TIFU, in case you're having a bad day at work, this happened today, by user Gary128. Posted in another community and gave some people a good laugh, so thought I'd share on this subreddit. I was using the bathroom at work this morning to relieve my bowels of some building pressure. All part of the normal routine. I am going on a trip this weekend to golf. Looking forward to it. While sitting on the toilet, I watched a hole-by-hole walkthrough for about 20 minutes. Not really realizing it, and the implications it could have, my legs went completely numb from sitting on the toilet too long. I stood up and bent over to wipe, and fell head first through the stall door, enough force that it became unlatched, and onto the ground. This scared the shit out of the person using the urinal beside it. And he nearly peed on me as he frighteningly turned around as I was scrambling to get back up with my pants down, ass out, and the stall door swinging out and around right at him, almost hitting him. Getting up was no small feat, pants around my ankles, numb legs. I thought I'd never walk again as I scooted back into the stall to finish what I started. I don't think I can come to work once word gets out about this. TLDR, legs fell asleep sitting on toilet for too long. Leaned forward to wipe and lost all balance, falling forward and busting through stall door. TIFU by relying on a battery keypad while away on vacation for over 2 weeks, by userandin_lod. I'm currently on day 14 of a 17-day vacation more than 2,000 miles from home. At my house I use a battery-powered and Wi-Fi connected keypad to unlock and lock the front door. The lock has a spot for a physical key that I keep on my keychain but never use. There are no spare physical keys hidden outside or kept with a friend. 2 weeks ago I left on vacation. I double-checked that all back/side doors were secure and gave the front door code to my cat sitter. Since I was going to be out of town, I left my keys at home figuring that I wouldn't need them while thousands of miles away. While enjoying my vacation, the cat sitter stopped by every 2 to 3 days to feed and water the cat and make sure everything was good at the house. On day 10 of my trip, I get an alert on my phone that the battery on the lock is low. I think about how the cat sitter only needs to come by 2 to 3 more times and then I will be home and can change the battery. I assumed it should last those few uses. On day 12, the cat sitter came by and got into the house without issue. Then later that night I get a message that the battery is critically low. I start to worry and ask the cat sitter to change the battery next time she is there. Then on day 13, last night, I get a notification that the lock has been offline for 24 hours and I realize that it is completely dead. I start researching the particular lock we have and realize that there is no way to get the front door unlocked without the physical key which is safely inside my house. My cat sitter and I are locked out of the house and there's still 5 days before I can get home. I started thinking through my options. I could call a locksmith, but most won't do the work without me, the homeowner, present, and the cat definitely needs food and water before I can make it home. I decided to call a friend and asked him to try and break into my house. He went to my house today and first tried his amateur lock-picking skills while I anxiously watched through the security camera. After no luck trying the front door and a side door, he decided to check my windows. Sure enough, my bedroom window wasn't latched and he was able to climb in through the window that was about 6 feet off the ground. Once inside he was able to replace the battery on the lock and secured the window he had used to break in. After giving the cat some extra love and pets, he left, taking the physical key with him in case the lock stops working again. The cat sitter has since come by and was able to get in without issue. From now on I will be making sure I have a backup method for getting into my house and not relying on a battery-powered lock. TLDR, the battery for my front door lock died while I was on vacation and I had to call a friend to go break into my house.